In the beginning, there was radio.
The radio is one of the outstanding developments of the 20th century.
A radio transmitter was used for large-scale public entertainment.
Then came computers.
You got to keep up with the times, you know.
Imprints of man's never-ending path of progress.
Back in my day, we didn't have no fancy computer boxes to use.
Shall we play a game?
The internet tied it all together.
The internet gave us a whole world of exciting new possibilities.
A bright new era dawning. A new dimension in communications.
It is possible to establish communication instantaneously from any place at any time.
And now it's the 21st century, and we've made it all toxic.
Hold on to your hats. Okay, we're ready to roll.
This is Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hey guys, dating life going pretty shitty?
I find you so creepy, I think you should have to walk around with a bell around your neck.
Finding yourself getting a little desperate for some female companionship?
Alexa, tell me you love me.
Hell no. You disgust me.
What you need is to upgrade your style right now. The Toxic Store's got exactly what you need. Pick up some stylish gear featuring Deviant Gamer, Toxic Radio, and the Heavy Metal Happy Hour.
Oh, yeah!
You can find the store through the Toxic Radio app or toxicradio.net. Get in the game.
Do I make you horny, baby?
Get yourself a little love.
That guy's getting boobies. Yeah, he is.
Toxic Radio and the Toxic Store. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic.
What's up, everyone? Welcome. It's Thursday, one day away from Friday. That used to not mean shit to me, but it's that time of the week to take it deep. And we got a lot to talk about today. A lot of interesting subjects. We're going to keep it light today. And there is no COVID on the vaccine. No COVID talk for once. I have hit my end with that, so that can kiss my ass. Some shows haven't. They want to beat that dead horse until it's over. Or, you know, maybe reinventing it when it is. Who knows? But anyway, that being said, we got a lot to talk about. Bill Gates, people feeding people human flesh, gender reveals. Are they going too far? I think we need to make Toxic Mike learn a lesson of what not to do for a gender reveal when he does one. And hopefully he doesn't have to get sweet chin music from me out of nowhere because I'm so ashamed of his gender reveal choice. I hope that... Mike, are you planning a crazy gender reveal?
I'm an adult. No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. You say you're an adult.
I'm an adult.
But you ate a chubber on film last week.
I was directed to do so by the host of the show.
Okay. So, well, he says he's an adult. But some people aren't adults. And while I kind of preface this story for you, I'm going to have Mike pull up the audio. We're not going to play all 7 minutes of the 911 call. But let's just say people are getting out of hand with gender reveal. And they are raising the bar time after time, right?
So you want to play this audio to go into this?
Not quite yet.
You'll cue me. You'll give me the cue. What is the cue?
A cue is when I say play the audio.
Okay.
But, you know, Mike got a bunch of random videos, so he's playing catch. I'm making him play catch up. That's not his fault. But, so, basically, you know what an IED is. Unfortunately,
is that like an IUD?
No, different. IED's explosive. IUD can catch explosions of a different kind, I believe. I don't even know if I'm right about that second one. However, an IED, improvised explosive device. Unfortunately, we know what that means in American culture because, unfortunately, a lot of our troops were either injured, maimed, or died because of them while serving the country. So, there's a bunch of people that started calling 911 because someone decided to, in New Hampshire, decided to use 80 pounds of explosives to celebrate the gender of their baby, causing a blast that was felt for 25 miles in every direction. That's right. 80 pounds of explosives.
Where was this at? The South?
New Hampshire. No, the North. There's idiots everywhere. It doesn't matter, South, North, East, West, Central. There's no shortage of idiots. So I'm going to assume that they didn't really do this in a safe way, but an explosion rocked Kingston, New Hampshire, and its surroundings just after 7 p.m. on April 20th, 2021. The source was 80 pounds of explosives nestled in a nearby rock quarry. Even better. An expected couple detonated the explosive as part of a gender reveal party. Guys, let's have a great party. I know what we can do. We can do a gender reveal and get 80 pounds of explosives. I could tell this kid's going to have a great future. What do you think, Mike? You think things are looking good for this kid?
I think this is the perfect way for somebody in this situation to do a gender reveal. Or I think every gender reveal should be done in this way, to a T.
Yeah.
This is what should happen nonstop all the time.
I had some special effects, and that's what it sounded like, but worse. So, I mean, it's stupid, right? So let me just give you an example of how bad it was. Don't take it from me. Take it from people that live there. Mike's going to play you some 911 calls. That's right. People call 911 because of your gender reveal. I mean, what a bunch of assholes. And it's a little grainy, but that's okay because it's not in HD. It's 911, okay? We just have to hear you. You don't have to be crystal clear. So, all right? No one needs HD to say, I'm shitting myself. Come get me or whatever. So, numerous calls of large explosions in 911 logs said. They didn't know it was a gender reveal when they were making this call, though. So, he'll have it up there. You do see it, Mike. It's all the way down the page.
No, I got it. You said you were going to give me the cue of play it.
Play.
I was waiting for the cue.
Batista. No.
Loud explosion near my property. All my pictures have fallen.
Sure, what's the address there?
It's Kingston. My property does abut Tormeo Industries, and they do blast. I don't know if it came from there.
Okay. And just to verify, all right, and I'm showing the phone number you're calling from.
That is.
Okay, stay on the line while I transfer to the Kingston Police Department.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, my God. Matt, take some pictures. Take a picture of that. That's definitely from the blast. Oh, my God. My heart is racing.
Sheriff's Office, Healy. 911 Agent 166. I have a caller on the line calling from Kingston at... They just heard a loud explosion.
All right, so you get the point. So you can turn it. So yeah, I mean, it's not really an entertaining call. I'm just trying to illustrate to you how people were scared shitless.
I love how your finish to that call was. It's not very entertaining.
Yeah, the call's not entertaining, but I just wanted to let you guys know what it's.
Look, just so you know,
the levity of the situation.
There is no entertainment you're going to find here. Just make sure that you got that understood.
Yeah, understand that. So. Yeah, it was probably her neighbor, like, hey, Tammy, girlfriend, I know you're a little scared. I just want to let you know we're having a girl. I'm assuming it was a girl because it's a picture of Pink. So, not the singer, but the color, rather. It's Pink Smoke. And, several people called, and it's not the worst gender reveal. There's been parties where people have started forest fires that burned 47,000 acres. Yep. And it took 800 firefighters to contain and did $8.2 million in damage. Your kid's not even worth $8.2 million. Did I say that? Is that wrong? Cars have caught fire multiple times during gender reveal parties, and several people have died during them this year alone. Now, that's sad as shit. You're celebrating the birth of a kid, and you die trying to reveal its gender. You know, what happened to, let's surprise ourselves, and when we give birth, we'll know what it is. People just can't. They're just too damn spicy right now. I mean, what the fuck is that? What's wrong with people? I could see Brad doing a gender reveal like that. And definitely Mike. He denies it.
No, there's no way in hell. I've already said I'm an adult. I'm not going to... This isn't a TikTok video where I'm going to dance like a monkey. So no gender reveal. I mean, I'm not going to be stupid and wait till birth to find out. Because there's a lot of planning, a lot of things that you need to get in order, things that you need to purchase,
I'm gonna laugh if you have,
there's
if
a
you have
lot
gender
that goes
reveal.
on that modern technology and modern medicine can give you a helping hand by saying, look, there's a wiener. Or look, there's a vagina. Guess what?
I hope Laura like ropes you in the one you don't even know about.
I don't know how she's going to do that. I'll be in there when we find out what the sex is.
No, I'm talking about a gender reveal party. Like you
Yeah.
said.
But how could that happen? I'm going to be in there. Like,
No,
excuse
the
me,
party will
cover.
happens
Oh,
before
somebody
you.
else's.
No, yours. Like you're coming home one day and you're like, hey, what's everybody here for? Oh, we're having a party. You don't know. Something happens. And they're like, hey, Mike, I want you to take a wiffle ball bat and hit this ball. And they'll have to do it 10 times because you're not athletically inclined. You'll probably miss the first 9.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all know that here at Toxic Radio.
Mm-hmm.
And then it explodes with purple powder, which means it's a boy.
Then I will have another reveal.
No, blue.
I will have another reveal.
What reveal will that be?
Drunk Mike.
I think that reveal will have probably already been playing that day anyway.
No, a little bit extra that day.
A little bit extra?
Yes. But no gender reveal. At first, it was cutesy, it was nice, it was sweet. But just like everything else in America, we have to do it to the extreme. We have to go to the 5th degree of everything.
Yeah, gender reveal, you're gone. Bye.
Lars says, I don't think you understand how this works, Matt. Matt doesn't even understand how babies are made.
Yeah.
He's very.
I watched it on Netflix.
He's very confused. He was taught growing up that you stick your penis in a girl's belly button, and 9 months later, a baby comes out.
Nope. I got taken to court once,
what?
and I proved that wasn't true. Not my kid.
What is wrong with you over there?
I got I'm being attacked by a spider web. So anyway, yeah, gender reveal's got to go. It's getting crazy. People are just out of their minds. So
here's a gender reveal. I shoot you with a bullet. When we go to take the bullet out, we find out what color it was.
Okay. Tell it that was cool. Racing by that story. So, how much do you like Chipotle? Do you like Chipotle?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Do you like it?
This might surprise you. Exactly, just like that. I've never had Chipotle.
Well, some people love Chipotle so much.
I've never had it.
And this was local to Philadelphia area. Mike pulled up the video for him, as I explained. And the cue will be when you're ready to play it, I'll stop talking. So, give me my food. Woman pulls up gun while in line at a Philadelphia Chipotle. She loved her Chipotle so much that she pulled a gun out. That's right. Give me my food. So,
do you want to play this?
Play it. Yep.
You want to play it?
Yeah, you're going to get to see a northeasty beastie in the wild.
In the Ronhurst section of Philadelphia. Investigators say an irate customer pulled a gun on the workers twice while they were simply trying to do their jobs. Action News reporter Katie Catro is live for us now at Northeast Detectives with the full story here. Katie.
And Sarah, police here say the whole restaurant industry is facing staffing shortages because of the pandemic. And they have noticed an increase in frustrated customers turning violent, as you'll see in this video.
Crazy.
Watch as this woman pulls a gun out of her purse inside a Chipotle in the Ronhurst section of Philadelphia.
She doesn't know how to handle that fucking thing.
Police say it's because she didn't want to order her food online.
That's still insane that somebody actually pulled a gun out because they couldn't get their food. It's actually unreal.
Philadelphia police say it happened Saturday afternoon just before 5 p.m. on the 2300 block of Cotman Avenue. Because of staffing issues, the cashier was instructed by her manager to close the store to customers. The customers already waiting in line instructed to order online. Police say this woman wanted her food immediately and pulled out the gun to demand her food be made.
Is it really that serious for a bowl? I mean, they don't have your order or they're only doing online. You don't want to wait? Go somewhere else.
Police say the woman stated there would be a problem if her order wasn't completed. Police say after the food was made for her and the man next to her, she displayed the gun again and is quoted as saying, "Somebody better give me my food."
The dude's like, I'm out of here.
To get your fast food
That guy was like, I'm fucking gone.
You know, to pull guns on people is not the answer.
And police say the woman did leave with her meal, but without paying, which is why she could be facing armed robbery charges. If you recognize the woman in that video or the man next to her, Northeast detectives want to hear from you. Reporting live in Bustleton, Katie Castro, Channel 6, Action News. Sarah? Katie.
I think it's hilarious that they said, well, she'll be facing armed robbery charges just because she didn't pay for her Chipotle.
I am dumbfounded by that story. That is ridiculous, and it shows just how
that was a
bad.
true Northeasty beastie in action right there.
That is ridiculous to the 10th level. That's
yeah. That dude was like,
I have nothing.
That dude was like, come on, Ma, what the fuck? Yeah, people are out of their mind. I don't love Chipotle. I think it's overpriced, and I think it is not really that great, to be honest. I used to go there. I think people just like it because they give you a lot of food. So people that like big portions are like, oh, Chipotle, it's great. They'll charge us extra.
So what fast food place? So again, I've never, ever had Chipotle. No, I don't care what anybody says. I've never had Chipotle. But what fast food restaurant do you love so much that the possibility of pulling out a gun might go by your brain?
See, I don't think it was that. I think when things like that happen, people are going through, remember the movie Michael Douglas was in called Falling Down?
Douglas, yeah.
Douglas, yes.
Douglas.
Douglas. That's the Spanish version. Douglas.
But follow me for a second. Follow me down.
Remember, but he was mad about something else.
It was a breakdown. It's the
had
last
to be,
straw.
right?
It's the last straw. But like, I've never had Chipotle, so I can't relate. Never had it. But what I'm trying to say is, what is the fast food restaurant of your choice that when push comes to shove, you need to have it so bad that this might become, if it was your last straw, the straw that broke the camel's back, where you might have to take extremes. I'm not saying pull out a gun, but you want that food right now because it's that good.
I don't know if there's something like that for me.
I would have to say, now again, I've never had Chipotle. I would have to say, not knowing Chipotle, I'd go with Burger King. Burger King, if I go there and I want a Whopper and I'm craving that, the craving's not going to go away. I might just have to go in there and rat-a-tat-tat.
Rat-a-tat-tat.
Right.
I don't even know what to say to your rat-a-tat-tat, but I will turn the page on that comment. Okay, so back to the story, rat-a-tat-tat. Yeah, that's so Philly right there. I mean, are we surprised? But that's just crazy. And something's got to be going on in her life. But now she might be facing armed robbery charges, and she did it on camera. Not smart. And, yeah, people like her have guns. Isn't that great? Makes me want to buy more. So, moving on from that, speaking of craziness, or more craziness, Bill Gates. They asked him about Jeffrey Epstein, and I just kind of thought it was funny the way he answered this question. In my mind. So there's an article I was reading. It says, Bill Gates answered to Jeffrey Epstein ties. Well, he's dead. So we're going to let you hear him say that, though, because he gets to deliver it in a really, really interesting way. And Mike will cue up this video. As soon as you have it ready to roll, Mike, you let us know. There he is. That's his picture. And it's a brief 2-minute clip. He's taking an interview on PBS.
And our internet has gone down.
No, really?
No, it's just not playing.
I would have had to beat you with my gun because you didn't get a contingency plan up.
It's just not playing. What is going on?
Maybe the wires are curled. There we go. There we go.
You had a number of meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, who, when you met him 10 years ago, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from minors. What did you know about him when you were meeting with him, as you've said yourself, in the hopes of raising money?
I had dinners with him. I regret doing that. He had relationships with people he said, would give to global health, which is a interest I have. Not nearly enough philanthropy goes in that direction. Those meetings were a mistake. They didn't result in what he purported, and I cut them off. That goes back a long time ago now. So there's nothing new on that.
It was reported that you continued to meet with him over several years, and that, in other words, a number of meetings. What did you do when you found out about his background?
Well, you know, I've said I regretted having those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so you know, in general, you always have to be careful. And you know, I'm very proud of what we've done in philanthropy. Very proud of the work of the foundation. You know, that's what I get up every day and focus on.
That was actually me, Mike. He was like, "Is that the computer?" That was the Windows XP startup sound, which was shit, Windows XP, and so was his answer. So I thought that was appropriate. And then there it is shutting down. Isn't that nice? Remember those videos? Or those sounds?
Yeah, I was good.
Whatever, fuck it. I love it. So he, his explanation, he definitely seemed nervous and on the spot. This is a multi-billionaire, one of the richest people in the world, and he definitely was fucking sweating. I don't know about you guys, but it definitely looked like that to me. You know, I have two theories on Jeffrey Epstein. One, that he was murdered. Actually, I shouldn't say that is a theory. He definitely was murdered. But the cause or the motivation or whoever carried it out, one, it could have been someone in the government, very high up, knew a lot of influential people, or it was someone that was very high up and it was their daughter that he kidnapped and they had a hit on him. That's possible, too. People don't think about that angle because he was taking girls, very beautiful girls, taking them to an island, grooming them, very disgusting, very sickening. And it could have been someone's dad, uncle, family. You know, it could have been like El Chapo's daughter for all you know. And then, you know, they got in and killed him. So maybe it wasn't an inside job. Maybe it was an outside job. So who knows? But he's gone. The lady who is his right-hand person is still in jail, and there hasn't been a trial, which is odd. But we're not going to go down the Jeffrey Epstein rabbit hole. I just thought it was funny. I mean, Mike, didn't his answer seem kind of nonchalant? He was like, well, he's dead. So
I mean, but at the same token, like, if you or me were in that position asking about previous friends of ours or acquaintances of ours that was found to be doing bad things with children, we would probably at the same time.
Well, you do have real-life experience.
We probably would, at the same point, try and do whatever we could to skate past
Awkward.
it and try and, you know, figure out what it's. You know, his brain's probably going a mile a minute trying to think how the fuck do I get out of this.
Yeah, he's on PBS, too. Not really a high-pressure show. And maybe it is. I don't believe Bill Gates possibly did something like that. But I don't know. Just my guess.
But you got to see, that's the problem. When you got these high-profile, high-money people that are in industries where you're collaborating with like-minded and like individuals in business, you know, there's a lot of scumbags at the top. And as somebody in Bill Gates...
Do you know what a scumbag is?
I know what a piece of shit is.
Is that you?
No.
A scumbag is a used condom full of cum.
Thank you.
That's the definition.
I like to just drink it. Anyway.
Oh, my God.
But when you're doing that kind of stuff...
Come get your man, Laura.
And you're dealing with individuals, you never know. So for any interviewer known to man to try and question somebody as if they knew something or they could give some extra advice, nobody knows in the moment that you're dealing with a person of that caliber that's doing that type of stuff.
Well, hold on a second. They said that there was accusations, and then he kept meeting with him. That was the problem. So this is a 10-year period.
Well, here's the thing.
In 2011, I think charges came up on him. He got.
I can't go with accusations because there's accusations. Bill Gates has had accusations against himself.
But he's never signed a plea deal
for many things. Now, wait a second. So if there were if relationships continued after any kind of either hardcore evidence came out and or admission of guilt, then yes, I'd be upset.
I'm not sweating it. I'm not sweating it if I didn't do anything.
No, I'm not going to say anything. With any politician,
I'm not sweating it though. He was sweating it. He was uncomfortable. Like he was.
But he's sweating it because he's on national television.
He's on PBS.
It's still
two people a day watch that. Stop.
No, it's on the internet. Me and you dumbasses are watching it. So it's not two people a day. That went fucking viral.
10.
probably, as far as we know. It's the age of the internet. Anything you say can be pushed out to millions of people in 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of pushing things out, that's Mike's favorite topic. We're going to talk about a little bit of wrestling, but more of wrestling and TV. Dark Side of the Ring, we've talked about it before. There's a new season that came on, and some controversy has spawned from the most recent episode. It was called The Plane Ride from Hell. I've never heard of this story, and I wanted to watch it. I watched it. It was amazing. Dark Side of the Ring delivers every season, every time. I think they're very talented filmmakers, and I think this was risky for them to do because maybe some of the industry is mad at them for it. But I got to tell you, Vince laid the smack of down on a lot of these people after this plane ride. But they drank. So it started out bad. They got a charter flight. It was a 747, huge, leather seats throughout. Like, it was a luxury plane. They were doing a European tour. Sales were good. This is right after they bought WCW and all that. So you had Ric Flair on this plane, Scott Hall, Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, Tommy Dreamer, Rob Van Dam, Dustin Rhodes, Terry Reynolds. Let's see, Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, just to name a few. Brock Lesnar. Who else? Michael Hayes. It was crazy. So you got to watch this episode of what went down. They even got the stewardess that was on the plane. She didn't even really want to talk about it. Her daughter convinced her to talk about it because she didn't really get to tell her story. She wanted to be really quiet. But, I mean, I got to tell you, even if you don't like wrestling, the theater and the stories behind this, because it's real, is amazing. I mean, Mike, you have seen this series, I'm pretty sure. We've talked about this before.
I've seen the series. I've not seen this episode. I accidentally watched 10 minutes of the episode because I thought it was a trailer and realized, holy shit, whoever it is, Vice or who puts on the show, Vice actually puts the whole episode on YouTube, and I thought it was just a trailer. But I know the story. I know what happened. I know some of the backlash that has happened. I know that Tommy Dreamer has been banned from
suspended. He was suspended
indefinitely.
They said wrestler Tommy Dreamer reportedly suspended for Dark Side of the Ring comments on Ric Flair's allegations.
But they said suspended indefinitely.
So I wasn't sure about how I thought about it till I listened to him talk, and kind of had it coming. I mean, the way he talked about it. I mean, did you see it yet? You got to watch it.
I have not. I've seen parts of it. I've seen the way that Tommy Dreamer talked. He said some offensive things. He said everything's offensive these days. He said my ponytail's offensive.
Yeah, that was a bad parallel for him to draw.
RVD made a comment that sometimes you don't always want to meet. You shouldn't always.
You don't want to know about what your heroes really are about.
You don't want to meet. Sometimes it's not a good idea to
and
meet
that was
your
referring
heroes.
to Ric Flair, because what Ric Flair did is he came out and he was swinging around his helicopter dick, and apparently Ric Flair has quite a hammer, according to Tommy Dreamer, and he is our cuck of the week because he seemed like he wanted to watch his hammer from the corner. That was a lot of wrestling terms were used on the show, and
who wouldn't want to watch Ric Flair bang it out?
No, they weren't talking about him banging out. They're talking about him doing an airplane with his penis. I don't want to watch him have sex.
If Ric Flair's in the room and his penis is out, I'm staring.
That's because you're toxic, Mike.
I'm staring. And also, there was a discussion.
It's always a party with Mike. If your cock's out, I'm staring. That's Mike.
If there was a discussion this past Tuesday on the Red Band Underground to this, and I put forth some controversial opinions myself because
you should watch the video though.
I was in. I did say I haven't seen the episode, so some of the things I'm saying might come back to slap me in the balls, or
in the face.
But I do not disagree with what happened, as long as nobody was forcibly made to have sex or anything.
But you can't corner someone with your genitalia, and that's what she felt. She didn't talk about it for years. Vince felt so strongly about it that he fired Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, who was a wrestling legend that died soon after. He fired Scott Hall. He fired a lot of people, and they asked Jim Ross directly on the show, which was really revealing. This is why. So first off, documentaries can be cream puff pieces sometimes because cream puff and sports reporting can be bad too these days because the team has their own sports reporters, and you get shit news now because it's filtered and it's garbage, and they're just a glorified PR person, right? And a lot of times with documentaries made by the organization that represents, same thing. Now with Dark Side of the Ring, it's amazing because they get people to talk on here that nobody's ever gotten to talk before. And they got Jim Ross and Jim Cornette and all these guys were talking about it. Jim Ross goes, they asked him, they said, well, how come Ric Flair didn't get fired? And Jim Ross goes,
he's a made man.
He's a made man.
Yeah.
And that is where it's fucked up, because let me tell you something. We all know it's true, but it doesn't mean it's right.
But here's the whole thing. First off, as far as Flair goes, when you're the made man at a company, when you're making them
I would have sued. I would have sued if I was Kurt Hennig.
Money. When there's almost nothing you can do to get fired. We all at my job right now, I can tell you at my day job, there are certain individuals that can get away with murder, and there's certain individuals that if they just did something slightly wrong would be out the door. That's just the way it is in business,
but listen,
in industry.
And if
that's the way it goes.
That's the way it goes, then sometimes when it comes back on you, that's the way it goes.
No, that sometimes will come back at you, but that's the way business is.
Tommy Dreamer was very cavalier about it. He likened someone getting offended to his ponytail to someone waving their cock around where you were pinned in an area where you couldn't get away from the spinning cock to his ponytail. And I was like, wow. Now, am I surprised Tommy Dreamer went down there? No. And that explanation was crap and a little, it was a bad explanation, kind of like reminiscent of Tommy Dreamer's career. Is kind of overrated in general.
When you're hanging out with the boys, when you're in the
there were other women on that plane too, by the way.
When you're in the field, yes, there were. Terry Reynolds was there, who was the wife of Goldust.
She didn't agree with it and say it was right. She's just been conditioned with it.
But here's the thing. So this is no way the caliber.
By the way, let me tell you, pause for a second. So the reason why it was just a fucking nightmare, they thought they were being friendly to the talent. The plane got stuck on the tarmac for 7 hours before they took off for a 7-hour flight. They went through 3 whole carts of alcohol, which is very unusual. So there were some very drunk people, and then they were doing things called H-bombs, and it's a very powerful pill that they're dropping in people's drinks, and they used to do it to each other as a joke. Michael Hayes got his ponytail cut off on that plane. He wanted to fuck people up. He was pissed. X-Pac did it. And I'm pretty sure X-Pac, we're going to hear a story about how Michael Hayes punched him in the mouth one of these days, but they cut his ponytail off because he fell asleep. And then there was a story of Brock Lesnar and Curt Hennig were going at it, and they were fighting each other literally against the exit door while the plane's in the air. Now, it's almost impossible to open it up at that speed, but do you want to chance that? No. And people got him to calm down. Scott Hall also was really drunk, and she tried to wake him up, the stewardess, to be like, hey, come on in. And she's like, hey, your flight's landing. Wake up. And he goes, I'm going to lick you, and rips her shirt. So, I mean, come on. Listen, there's class, and I always love to think that Ric Flair is classy. He wasn't so classy on this flight. And, we reap what we sow, right? And the lady wasn't really, bombastic. So, let's say she was Stormy Daniels-ish, which would be a 10. She was a 1. They talked about the backstage. They had to convince her to come on the show. And her daughter convinced her. She didn't even want to. And the lady just was even so polite in the way she described things. So cordial. Like, when you hear her talk, you're like, she's not out for anybody. It's like, she didn't even really want to do a settlement. Her husband pushed her to do the settlement because they didn't want the stories getting out, and lady was really, really genuine. I felt bad for her. And Chris Jericho was talking about it too, but, listen, she's a flight stewardess. She didn't sign up for that. She didn't know that was going to be going on. And the WWE didn't want that to happen. They didn't know that was going to happen either. Jim Ross opens it up by saying, I wish I never had to ever talk about the plane ride from hell again. But, he seemed upset with himself that went on, and people got fired. To me, if I was one of the wrestlers and I cared about it, and you fired me for doing that, and then I knew Ric Flair was helicoptering his penis, I would be like, Mr. Lawyer, come on up. But there's a lot more to this story, so you got to see it for yourself. He was styling and profiling, but he wasn't wearing. He might have been wearing a robe and just a Rolex, Gene. That's all I got to say. And you got to see it for yourself. Make your judgments for yourself. I kind of felt bad for Tommy Dreamer when I heard about it, but then I watched it and I was like, no. Then I thought, man, this is going to give him trouble producing this show. A wrestler's going to be like, I don't want to talk to these guys anymore. And you know what? Wrestlers love this show so much that they don't care. They're fanboys for the show. Do you know he got the lawyer? He did an interview with the lawyer that defended Vince McMahon in court as far as steroid use goes. Remember that? It was the U.S. versus Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
And he just cold called the guy's office, and he said, yeah, I'll do the interview. It's just like they're fanboys for the show. And it's so well done. Even if you don't like wrestling, it takes you behind wrestling. It takes you behind the curtain, so to speak. And it is an excellent watch. It's a great documentary. I challenge anybody to watch it that's not a wrestling fan that doesn't enjoy it. I mean, how do you feel about that series, Mike? Do you think I think it's that good.
I mean, I've watched pretty much every single episode since it was released. I'm giddy like a little schoolgirl.
Luna Vachon is next, I think.
Luna Vachon is next.
That's crazy.
When each one comes out. Sadly, I have not seen this one. I have strong opinions that are not the opinions of a lot of people, but again, I've lived through it. I know what goes on in the back room in a wrestling ring, at least on the indies, which it's just magnified a million times. I've seen some.
Well, the alcohol, the level of alcohol that was drank on that plane had a huge impact on that.
Absolutely. I mean, but again, working on the indies after each show, everybody got trashed. And
now remember, this happened in the mid 2000s,
right? And that was during, but that was during the Attitude Era. Like, that was during the time.
Well, that was more toward the end of it because that's just past the WCW when Vince bought it, Shane McMahon, blah, blah, blah. And, they said in that show that Vince was looking to send a message. He was tired of it because that kind of stuff was known for happening. Kurt Hennig was known for being a good ribber, as they called it. They have Mike Chioda on there, the referee. He sounds like.
But it doesn't matter. The place had bred a product that involved Vince, getting women to crawl around like a dog and bark and handprints on their titties. And, I mean, their biggest draw was Stone Cold, who was a
the
drunk.
flight steward isn't a wrestler.
But what I'm saying is you fed that type of atmosphere. And you remember, every wrestler that you see, whatever
you're saying,
Vince
shouldn't have this standard because he created the standard.
To an extent. But
I don't disagree with that.
But at the same token, you're getting mad. You're getting mad at, you don't get mad at the bear for destroying your tent. A bear is doing what a bear does.
So
you can't get mad at these guys that drank heavily, partied, had extremely high egos, and were charismatic towards women, or at least overly flirtatious with women. This is what they are. This is what they do. When you have wrestlers are overly confident. They all think their shit don't stink, and you have to in an industry where you are your own product. They are all heavy drinkers, and they all, whenever they can, want to party their ass off.
CM Punk would disagree with you.
When you go ahead and put them all in one area, in one isolated area for
and so would Daniel
extended
Bryan,
period of time, with unlimited amount of alcohol and food, it's a recipe for a night like this.
For sure. And they're never going to do that again. But I don't feel sorry for wrestlers. I'm going to tell you why. Because it's the one thing where you can always come back. Remember, Hogan was canceled for a while for saying the N-word on camera, and now he's back. Tommy Dreamer will be back. It's the only job where you can come back and put a mask on. Tommy Dreamer was already pretty much gone anyway. But Ric Flair will survive it. I guarantee he will, because that's just wrestling culture in general. I mean, I'm just telling you, he's going to survive it. People will show up and watch him at indies if they want. Or, not that he's even wrestling anymore. I think he's way past that. But he'll survive it. I'm not saying he should. But wrestling is almost like a different type of planet.
It is. If you don't mind, I'm going to tell
I'm not excusing the actions, but I'm just saying that's how it's going to play out.
When I was on the indies and we were in the back room after a match drinking heavily, and there was pizza left over from the shop that was selling the pizza, and we brought it back so that the boys could eat some. There was one slice left of this pizza. And there was a wrestler there who stood up and went, all right, nobody touched this last piece. This is going to be special for somebody when they come back here. He reached into his pants, into his shorts, into his trunks, pulled out a handful of pubes, and pushed it into the slice of pizza, knowing that whoever came back had been drinking, would be hungry, and he would offer them the slice of pizza.
Do you know that I never eat the last slice of pizza if I haven't seen it with my own eyes? Meaning, like, if I'm not there with the pizzas being eaten, I never, ever will eat the last slice of pizza because I don't know what the fuck has happened with that pizza since I've been away. Because of assholes like that.
The guy came back. One of the guys came back. One of the wrestlers. Guy goes, here you go. And we all sat there and watched this guy eat it. Another time, there was a beer that somebody had left on the counter that was half full. One of the other wrestlers poured out half of it, pissed into the other half that was remaining, pissed into the can of beer, the Miller Lite. When the wrestler came back, the other wrestler looked at him and said, I bet you can't chug your beer faster than me. And, of course, because wrestlers are arrogant and very competitive, he grabbed the beer, he put it up to his lips. They both started chugging. He slammed the beer down and said, I knew I could beat you, motherfucker. Walked out, and everybody just watched him drink the other guy's piss.
So what you're saying is wrestling culture doesn't breed historians and scholars.
Wrestling culture is a bunch of basically frat boys.
I think if I was a wrestler, I would be like the genius, and I'd be like, stay away from me. I'm better than you. I would be that asshole.
There are a few that aren't that mentality, like you mentioned CM Punk and other. There are a few, and I knew those people that weren't a part of that mentality, but the large
they're the exception.
Majority of them are. Again, you are dealing with very egotistical, very self-absorbed, very I am the best individuals. And when you put them all together in a tight room with a lot of alcohol, shit's going to get weird.
Well, speaking of weird, how would you feel if your friend fed you some mystery meat and you assumed that it was regular meat and then he told you it was something afterwards? Would you be upset?
I mean, it really depends on what it was.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, Michael. So, there's a guy, this guy I read about served his friends tacos made from his own amputated leg. That's right. Yeah, even that's gross for Mike, and that's amazing. I'll send you a picture if you need to see it. Yeah, that's pretty gross. Ass whoopings would have to be handed out. I'm just sorry. There's just some things that deserve an ass whooping response. So if you could taste human flesh in an ethical way, would you? No. It's the kind of question you ask after watching Silence of the Lambs stoned. No matter how you respond, you never expect anyone to hold you to your answer. But in a recent Reddit post, user Incredibly Shiny Shart, what a name. How is a shart shiny? Anyway, shared the story of a motorcycle crash that put him face to face with that hypothetical. When a car hit his bike and sent him careening into a nearby forest, his foot was shattered to the point he would never walk on it again. When the doctor asked if he wanted to amputate it, his question was, can I keep it? Well, that's a problem. Yeah. So, I know. So you're probably all horrified right now and wondering, like, did people actually eat these fucking tacos? Did this actually happen? And I'm posting this story for you guys in the chat. And I'm going to give it to Mike so he can give you a visual for those who are watching on the video. Send a message to you there, Mike. And it's not a video, but, you know, it's pictures of it. And Mike seems horrified right now. And he goes, are you horrified, Mike?
No, but I'll tell you why. Go ahead.
But when he asked if he can keep it, the doctor said, oh, yes. Oh, yes. On Sunday, July 10th, 2016, 3 weeks after the accident, Shiny, who prefers to remain anonymous, I bet you do. And then I wonder if we can confirm that this is true, and I wonder if this news article did. But anyway, invited 10 of his most open-minded friends to a special brunch. They ate apple strudel, quiche puff pastries, fruit tarts, and chocolate cake. They drank gin lemonade, punches, and mimosas. And then the main course came out, fajita tacos made from Shiny's severed human limb. That's troubling. The United States doesn't have a law against it, guys, just to let you know. Idaho is the only state in which the simple act of eating human flesh can land you in prison. Literally. I guess they took the zombie thing seriously. They taste like pork? Oh, I don't know how you know, Alex, but I'm really scared now. I'm not sleeping around you.
It's weird that you brought this up because I was just literally today while I was doing my walks, was thinking about, it just went through my head, the whole thought process of, like, you can eat this animal, you can't eat that animal. You can eat this animal, you can't eat that animal.
Why were you thinking about that?
I don't know why it went through my head.
Thinking about eating Pikachu's
the
ass
whole
again?
thing of, like, why you can't. I think I saw a bug on the ground. And It's like, people would look down on you for eating that bug off the ground.
Yes, I would.
But then people look down on you if you eat dog, or if you eat cat, or if you eat a giraffe. Like, there's certain animals that we dictate are good and certain animals that aren't. And then I started thinking how, like, certain animals in the animal kingdom, will eat each other. If another one of them dies, they literally will eat each other for nourishment, for food. And then it went to the thought process of, why is it bad to eat another human?
Well,
other than the emotional attachment.
I don't know. But the simple act of eating, it's just fucked up. I mean, laws against murder, buying, and selling human meat and corpse desecration make cannibalism difficult, but technically legal in other 49 states. It's rare someone able to consent to being eaten means someone interested in eating them, because they would have to be alive and be willing to be eaten. Duh. But even that scenario raises a ton of ethical questions. A Belgian man named Delfoot Gunzel was sentenced to 8.5 years in prison for butchering and eating a Polish businessman with his consent.
Right.
Chinese is the rare case where cannibalism was not only legal but ethical. He documented the entire process, but due to the graphic nature of the photos, we've omitted several from the post. You can view the full set in the article, if you dare so, in the link. So,
by the way, Alex in the chat room, documentary about the survivors of a plane crash that ate the dead passengers in order to survive. I believe that was a football or soccer team that crashed in the mountains, in the snowy mountains, and in order to survive, they realized that as they individually died off.
Yeah, but these people weren't they weren't in a situation of desperation, of death. I could understand that if I was gonna fucking freeze and die. Yes, I guess Mike would probably go for the foreskin first, but
other than the emotional attachment or the logic of this as a human being, there is nothing wrong, and we are just meat, just like any other animal. So in terms of nourishment, or in terms of us getting sick from eating another human, that is not going to happen. The only reason we think it's unbelievably wrong is because of the emotional attachment we have to each other as humans.
Yeah, well, but his friends knew about it, though.
So I think if my
how did they convince him? I invited 11 people. I said something like, "Remember how we always talked about how if we ever had the chance to ethically eat human meat, would you do it? Well, I'm calling you on that. We're doing this, or what?" 10 said yes. I guess we're a weird group. Yes, you are a weird group. Very much so. There's no doubt about that. There were several different friend groups involved. I approached one group with the idea, and they were like, totally, because how often are you going to get this chance? One friend said she asked her boyfriend, a chef, if he would do the cooking. Perfect. So, how did they go to the actual cooking of the food? I'm not going to read you this whole articles. They said you said on Reddit one friend had to spit into a napkin. What was the rest of the meal like? There was this queasy anticipation. We all looked at each other like, "We doing this, right? We're doing this." There was a very dark humor, which we already have in spades. Yeah, you have to be a dark group to be doing that. You wrote this meal helped give you closure on the accident. What did you mean by that? Yeah, you need closure by losing your leg, by eating your leg. I definitely wouldn't let my sister date this guy. But it sucked the whole time. I remember flying through the air. I remember getting hit. I remember sitting in the forest and taking off my helmet and feeling this burning pain. I looked down and my foot was hanging off. The picture of the foot all broken and mangled and dirty was on the ambulance. But I was very lucky to be in a place where people were around. So I remember waking up in the hospital many times and just crying, wondering what my life was going to be. I talked to the doctor about what we could do, what was salvageable, but there were bones missing and everything else was garbage. I would never be able to walk again. Around a week, I decided to let them cut it off. So, in around a week, he decided to. Yeah, so that provided closure for him. I mean, it's very interesting and very fucked up at the same time. So if you click on the link, you can go through the articles. Very lengthy. They have an interview with them. I don't know if I would eat human tacos. I have a feeling Mike would consider it.
Again, I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm not jumping at the table to eat it. But any meat on Earth, any and all living things, if prepared properly, probably taste delicious.
I'm not doing it.
I mean, which one, if you had to choose between a dog and a human, which one would you choose?
Oh, I like dogs more than humans. So
Right, that's why I went with that one. So if you had to choose,
I'm still going dog.
Yeah, you'd eat Fido?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, if I had to survive, I mean, I do understand that there's meats in other countries that we consider weird here that is considered normal and vice versa.
Uh-huh.
But the human thing, for the most part, is considered weird in most parts of the world, despite the culture and the choice of animal that they seem acceptable in their society to take in. Eating the human is kind of like, yeah, that's kind of questionable. I don't know about that. The homeless guy be in a trash can, be like, yeah, I'm gonna eat this burger that's half eaten. You can eat that big toe. I'm gonna eat this burger. That's that. And I'd rather dumpster dive than eat a fucking human toe or whatever. Finger, hand. I mean, I know it's being prepared, but I would feel violated if someone did that to me. It reminds me of a story of there was this couple in South Africa that made alcohol from the fruit out of elephant dung. They were feeding the elephants fruit, and they made alcohol from it, and they did shots, and their friends drank it, and they told them afterwards. I think it's kind of fucked up. But, people are weird. So what can you say? Fucked up. Very fucked up. So we're going to end on the thing that has been gripping the nation. Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, the van life social media girl who was murdered. They have found their body. Everybody's been hearing about it. Even if you haven't been deep into the story, you had to have heard it in your peripherals, right? Or seen it in your peripherals or heard it, off in a distance. It's everywhere, right? I'm pretty sure most people would say he definitely did it. No mystery there, right? I mean, do we think anything else is possible? He came back home with the van, and she was missing the van, and she's gone, and they had questions.
And he bolts quick as hell.
Yeah, he bolted quick. People get upset over things like the Capitol riots, for example. Why aren't people storming this guy's house? I'm not advocating for that. His parents that hit him. You know what I mean?
I mean, there are people nonstop outside of his parents' house with bullhorns and signs and everything. So there's a ton of people out there. They're not storming the house, no, but they're out there.
I mean, they kind of deserve it. I mean, to me, I don't know how I would react if that was my son. But I do know that if you're willing to help him evade that, and if you're being honest with yourself, and maybe they aren't, you have to think that he did it, right?
Right.
And then you're saying, well, I'm going to help him escape the consequences, which probably really will point to your parenting throughout his whole life and how you actually raised the individual for him to be able to think he'd get away with something like that, and you would support it. Okay? So that means I got to think you're an awful parent, even though I don't know your history of being a parent. Maybe you aren't, but it's going to look that way because you made an awful fucking epic choice. I mean, it's just fucked up. So, the van life culture, I don't know if you guys know what it's about. It's where you live in a van, you convert a van.
So many motherfuckers are doing it nowadays, yeah.
Yeah, and I actually sold one to someone when I was selling cars, believe it or not, and it's a whole thing. You get like those tall box trucks. They're not even their vans, and you convert it in there, and it's pretty cool. I mean, so many people do it. I get it. Fine, that's no problem. What was kind of disturbing is the cops stopped, and she was crying, and someone called in a domestic abuse claim, and this isn't a knock on cops. I think cops do a great job, and they don't in a lot of areas, and they don't get enough credit. But I will say that in domestic violence, it's not something, and I've had cops tell me this, that they want to get involved in, and I understand because there's a tangled web of nonsense sometimes that doesn't make any sense. But meaning the victim gets hit and then wants to stay with the guy even though she should want to get away. What was her mental state? Because she's crying in this video, and I'm not blaming her for this, and she still wanted to stay with him. And the guy, reportedly, the guy that called the police, he was slapping her. And then They stop the car to say something, and they both run away, like she's trying to protect him. Where's her mental state, right? So mental health is very important because you don't know what is in someone's head. And maybe if she decided and she was mentally healthy, I got to get away from this guy, she could be alive. Now you have a life lost. And then what really kind of pissed me off about this is, the whataboutisms out there, and it's everywhere, really makes me mad when it comes to when something's wrong, it's wrong. Now you hear, like, this might not be a popular opinion. Oh, what about the Native American who've gone missing? Native American.
Oh,
women?
yeah, the whole thing.
And guess what? You're right. What about them? And they should get the equal attention. But that doesn't mean that you just go, oh, well, this person, it's just because she's a white girl. And, Amy Joy Reid from MSNBC was saying that. I'm not going to play the clip. They'll probably fucking sting our show for that because they're like, oh, it's MSNBC. You own it. Or we own it. Get emails all the time from Facebook when we do that. And she was going to say it was like missing white woman syndrome. And, a lot of people go missing and it's a problem, right? And that echoes the same sentiment that I would hear people from the BLM movement, say to the BLM movement, well, there's a lot of cops that die. There's a lot of white people that die. We don't report on that. It's the same shit. It's just reversed. The roles are reversed. You might not like that parallel, but it's true. Just like people now that are complaining that the election was rigged, the Trumpers sound like the Hillary Clinton supporters in the election before that, right? So they're switching again. So it's all this whataboutism, like, hey, it's really tragic, but what about this person, right? Fuck off with that. Like, people need to stop that shit. Empathy should be delivered to everybody, okay? And it's just the truth. This poor girl's dead. Her family's probably crushed. Now they can't mourn her death because it's a national story. It's going to be on every TV show forever. And it's probably, you never want your kid to die, but it's probably the worst outcome you could possibly think of. Not only do they die, it's a national story because she was murdered. And the reason why it was getting a lot more attention, and this is where people just want to take a narrative and just drive it. And I think Joy Reid was just trying to get ratings. Because everybody talks about, like, well, they're covering this more and that. They cover what gives ratings. That's what gets them money, thus advertising dollars. That's the end, period. Now, there's some other stuff you could talk about that gets withheld from the news. That's a whole nother conversation. But she was a pretty well-known social media influencer as far as van life. Am I correct in saying that, Mike? Right?
Yeah. She was all over Instagram.
So the TikTokers were all over it. They were all coming together, trying to help with it. People were saying they saw her, things of that nature. And guess what? The FBI found her body. At least they found her, and they'll be able to have a proper burial and some closure. That's a small consolation if you're the parents. But at the end of the day, we got to stop this whataboutism shit and just start having empathy for each other's situation. You know what I mean? I feel bad about a lot of Native American women going missing. I feel bad that a lot of minorities are, get underreported and, doesn't get fully explored sometimes. Yeah, that happens. Absolutely. No one's saying it doesn't. But it doesn't have to be, well, since this girl isn't part of that group, how come these aren't getting taken care of? Well, why don't we focus on the ones that aren't, and instead of being the person that says, what about this, be the person that is the driver about bringing attention to the ones that are getting fucking ignored, because that's the lazy way out. That's the way of saying, like, I mean, just think about, like, if all of our most popular leaders did that kind of shit, like Martin Luther King, right? That's a good one. Do you think he would do that? I highly doubt it, okay? And the thing is that people just have this thing where they got to say, well, what about this? Because it erases that. It doesn't work that way. That's not life. And we just got to get off that. And it's just ignorant. It's not empathetic at all. Murder's murder and wrong is wrong. And if you feel that way, it's not wrong, but then be a agent of change, not an agent of complaint, because that's what that is. And with that being said, my friends, we're going to end the show, and we will talk to you next week. Now, if you like the Eagles, me and my man Gene are going to be starting a new podcast tomorrow night, 7 p.m., on this station, Toxic Radio, where you can find Take It Deep with the Godfrey, Wire to Wire, 8:30 to 10 on Wednesday nights. And we're going to be doing a podcast that's Eagles only, called Birds Deep. So you can take it deep with me and Gene. 7 p.m. tomorrow night. Toxic Radio. All the available platforms. Spotify, podcasts. Catch it live here on our Facebook page. And with that being said, this is the Godfrey. Not saying goodbye, just saying take it deep.